Hey folks, it's Mike, and this is the Michael Rollins Show. And Kebab FPV, also known as Bob Roogi, is our latest guest. And today we talk about his origin. I don't normally start out with the origin, but there's so much that references back to his origin that I felt like it was super important to start. So here's a teaser for you. Bob is an oral surgeon. And he gets most of his thinking done during surgery. He's also a very good oral surgeon, and you might wonder how that works. Well, if you do, then watch on, and we will. I'll talk to you soon. Bye. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I bring to you I know you won't recognize his face, but if he puts his hands in front of the camera, you may recognize him as Bob Roogi or Kebab FPV. Is it Eat Kebab FPV?
So Eat Kebab was my AIM name, like when I was 12 years old. So that just stuck with me my entire life. It was, I don't even know why I came up with it, but whatever.
I mean, do you have a particular love for kebabs?
My full name is Bobak, B-A-B-A-K. So
Okay.
Kebab is my name backwards.
Okay.
So
Well,
it was
all right. Well, that makes
easy.
sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So you're not really William Roogi. You're Bobak Roogi.
Yeah. This is the history of being a 13-year-old AOLer that people today don't even know what that means.
Oh yeah, well, so it's funny. It's funny that you say that. I actually worked for it's called Oath at that point. So I worked for Yahoo.
I remember Oath.
And then we got bought by Verizon, and we got combined with AOL. And I was there the day that they shut down AIM. And it was like, it was just like these folks were like devastated that they're this chat service from the 90s, right? Like, it's just so.
Well, you also have to think about it compared to how Facebook chat is today, because people were using AIM as a business communication platform way back then. And today, pretty much all of FPV business, and I'm sure tons of other industries, are almost exclusively done over Facebook and Skype. Skype, Facebook, WeChat, and WhatsApp are essentially the only business platforms that anybody uses anymore. And if one of them shuts down, now we could jump to another one. But if like Facebook shuts down, Facebook Messenger shuts down, it's like game over for a lot of business. So that's what was happening back then. There were no alternatives.
So, it's interesting that you say that. Probably the first topic I really want to jump into. Well, let me offer you the opportunity to kind of give your origin story. Like
my origin story.
Yeah, like where did Bob Roogi? How did you get into FPV? Like, and it feels like you've been in it for a long time.
I'm definitely not one of the originals. However, so I've been doing RC since I was a kid. So I was a very young kid, and RC cars. And then I went to school, so that stuff went away. And then I went to more school, and then I went to more school. And when I started to have a little bit more time in school, I was actually doing the 3D printer thing. And this was in 2010, before 2010. So 2009, I actually started using I was in San Francisco. I was using Bitcoin to like trade computer parts, and I was building computer parts for all my classmates and a bunch of other people. And then I started building 3D printers. This is all while I was in dental school. Like, I was expecting to have no time in dental school, but that's the farthest thing from the truth. I had so much time I didn't know what to do with it. Mm-hmm. So I started building tons of printers, and I actually had a company selling, there's like a headlight that dentists wear. It's like a flashlight on their head. And that product was selling for like $2,500 each back then. And I had a history in robotics. So I knew that a little LED doesn't cost $2,500. And I laughed in the face of the representative that told me that like $1,800 is the student price. I'm like, are you kidding me? This is like $20. And so the following year, I had prototype manufactured and distributed a product of my own that was just as good, if not better, than the other company's product. and I was selling it for $250, and that paid for about a half a year of my tuition in dental school. And because the cost on it was nothing, even in small quantities, the cost was nothing. So
Right.
the other company started bad mouthing me to other students in the school, and whatever, big debacle there. Finished dental school, and I was actually kind of coming back into RC by the end of dental school, and I saw drones in 2012 and FPV and everything, and I started researching it back then. But it wasn't until a couple of years later that I actually started to actually build it, because then I went to residency and I didn't have much time in residency. I was always in the hospital, and I did build a couple of drones that were on my website. And then once I finished, then I started working, and I also didn't have time. And what actually ended up happening was I was in a very bad car accident in, I don't even know, 2012, 2013, whenever. And no, 2015, 15 or 16, whenever that was. And then I broke both arms, both legs, my jaw, huge hernia down my left side, a bunch of ribs, a couple teeth.
Wow, dude.
I was busted. I mean, people may have seen the scars in the back of my hands, and I have a big scar down that, and then down the side of my arm and my other. I mean, it was very bad. And I was stuck in a bed for like 10 months straight. And then during that time, I pretty much watched every TV show I could find and researched everything I could about FPV, which was almost nothing back then. There was like nothing going on back then. It was like a couple people, and I would watch Steel and I would be like, oh my God, that's amazing. And Sharpu is obviously like the one that got more people into it than anybody else, and he got me into it as well. Then when I could move, my hands were both in casts and I couldn't do much, and I was stuck in a wheelchair. And so I just started building them. I just ordered stuff and I started building them and getting into that. And it was really challenging learning to fly because I couldn't walk. So I had to learn not to crash very quickly. And it was a big struggle. But it was back in the day when everything was garbage also. And yeah, I mean, I think I attribute that to how quickly I developed, because I had to learn not to crash, because that was pretty much the end of the day, unless I crashed like 2 feet from myself. Then I kept going in that direction. And from my past, you can see I've always kind of developed whatever I wanted and whatever I felt like I mean, that's always what I've wanted to do. I just never moved into that field because I went to dental school. And I'm still doing the dental thing. And so I actually met Sergio before he had even tried FPV. He had his heli shop, and he was a very small little shop. He was stereotypically a hobby shop kind of representative and owner, and he was very rude, as anybody in his position would be. I was legitimately looking for helicopter parts. So I'm like, okay, there's a helicopter store, but he had nothing. And then 3 months later, I came back and he had converted entirely to FPV. Wow. And that's kind of when I started talking to him again. And then over, I don't know, a couple months, he's like, I want a frame. I want like a frame for my store. And I had already been developing frames at that time, way back when. And so I'm like, I will make you a frame. And he's like, well, okay, let's do it. And so that's kind of where everything started from. And that's my origin story of FPV. And from there, I started designing more and more and more stuff. And then I started looking into why and how and what can make things better and worse. And, you know, naturally what anybody in the industry, any of us want is, how do we progress? How do we get better? How do we move it forward? And that just kept going and going. And come today, I have tried a lot of stuff and I've gotten bored with a lot of stuff. So I'm just trying to find the next thing that I'm interested in doing, which is a struggle. But yeah.
So, you know, that's an interesting way to leave that story. Like, are you bored with FPV? Are you moving on? Or are you trying to rekindle the passion to, you know, make it more entertaining or interesting?
Through this entire journey, I mean, my YouTube channel isn't massive, it's not great, but I think I have a very passionate following. My followers are really awesome. I talk to them all the time, and they are very into it and very dedicated. And just as passionate about the development, advancement, and seeing what's coming next as I am. And that's really where my passion lies, is that I really want to develop products. I want to improve things. And just for myself, I just want to have more fun myself. And I think people notice that and they want the same things. So I think that's why my subscriber base is a little different than most other subscriber bases, I think, because they interact a lot. They interact a lot with me, and I talk to a lot of them on a regular basis. So I haven't lost interest, but I have gotten bored with a lot of aspects of it. And a lot of things just don't interest me. And I can't do a lot of things like wings or X-Class because I have nowhere to fly.
Right.
So, yeah, and then limitations of electronics and battery and all that other stuff, which is annoying and frustrating, but hey, it is what it is. Best we got.
So let's, you're in like a severely metropolitan area.
Yeah, to say the least.
I mean, so you to kind of give the folks that are watching like a brief rundown. Bob was showing me where he is, which is one of the places he always flies. But you don't get, like, it's the tree, right? It's the place.
This
with
is
all the
one
cool,
of my trees.
Yeah,
This is one of my
cool
trees.
Yeah. I've seen you do some things that defy seemingly the laws of physics around those trees.
Once you fly around these, like when I was, I would say intermediate, and I was just still learning, I would always come to these spots because these are the spots where I go hiking and I do other things, and I always dreamt of being able to weave through these trees effortlessly, like without, oh god, there's mosquitoes now, totally effortlessly. And it took a year, and a year later, it got to the point where crashing wasn't the rule; it was the exception. So something happened, something clicked, the controls became natural enough to the point where weaving through things was effortless. And I'm literally just looking for a craft that can execute my inputs to the point where I can weave better through trees. And that's always kind of been my drive, and that's where all of my testing comes from, where I'm looking for improved control and this loading performance and the throttle effectiveness to be able to get that really fine, delicate control to be able to do what I want to do. And so when you have a quad like that, it can do everything else just fine, but it's just so tuned to have excellent control that it makes things that look amazing effortless. And that's what I've always been after. I want the absolute best control possible. I want it to be connected to my brain. And so that's where it all comes from. But it's not as hard as you think. You see it, but if anybody does it for a little bit, you get used to it, and it's just like second nature.
So there's actually a tree that I fly around, which I no one ever watches my flight videos because honestly my flight videos are
nobody
no
watches anybody's. Nobody watches anybody's flight videos at all.
Yeah,
nobody.
Which is interesting. An interesting statement to make, and I think you're absolutely right. Like, I think if Steel puts out a flight video,
yeah, Steel, Schizo, the big guys.
There's a few folks where people will stop what they're doing and watch a flight video. And Ladrib, I mean, he put one out the other day. I think it had been out for 4 or 5 hours. It already had like 5,000-6,000 views on it. The latest
and also
one,
Johnny, of course, has such high production value that you can't.
But he puts a flight video out like once a year now.
Yeah. Well, he's genuinely moved into the professional space, which is incredible. He is genuinely producing professional content for commercials and TV shows and movies and whatnot. So it's amazing to see that. But that's probably also why I know that he spends a lot of time on everything. It might look effortless and it might look, it's easy for him and amazing and you can do it too, but he puts a lot of effort into everything he does. It just looks effortless.
Once you've been behind the camera, if you will, to see how much effort goes into just one production. Like, I know that, like, even your videos, right? Your videos are like these anthological beasts, and I know that they can't be easy to put together, but I know that it's just you sitting down and just getting your thoughts out, right? And
That's all it is.
But for me, like, so as I'm a performer. I play guitar. I sing. I speak a lot. Do you get the exhaustion that comes after you've put all your thoughts out?
I get more exhausted from going to work than anything I do. And like when I have like once or twice a week, I'll have a day where it's mostly just surgery and I don't talk to anybody. And that's just amazing because I just go to work, I work, and I go home. But when I have to talk to patients all day long, it's so frustrating and it's so exhausting saying the same things over and over and over. And that's also why I don't take the Joshua Barbell route of talking about all the basics all the time and talking to everybody like they're children, because I talk to everybody like they're children all day long for my life. Right. So I don't like doing that. And that's why I seldom touch on basic concepts anymore. And I just figure people will get used to it. They'll learn. I wouldn't want to be treated like a child if I was watching videos. So hopefully people don't want to be treated like a child also. But yeah, for the most part, it's just I don't even think about what I talk about until 1 minute before I record the video. And I've just gotten really efficient at it, really efficient. And I edit it immediately after and it's done. Like I don't have time for anything else.
So, I want to say something to you. And I think that everybody that so I watch your videos. I don't watch all of them. I have to be at a certain place because it is a lot of information to absorb. Like typically you sit down, you start talking about things, and I love how you've been doing like the, this discussion here, this discussion here, this discussion here. That's very useful. But when I first started watching your videos, I was like, man, either this guy is really, really smart, or he is so good at making stuff up that it's unbelievable. Like either which way, I'm watching a genius, right? Like I sat there and I thought forever when the first time I heard you talk about disk loading theory, and I was like, man,
that didn't come from me. That didn't come from me at all. Okay, I had theories of it, but I had ideas of it, but it wasn't from me.
So I sometimes I sit down and I watch you, and I'm just like, God, that is either the most brilliant thing I've ever heard, or where's all the time? Where's all the thought come from? Because
when I'm working, this is all I think about. Like I'm in surgery, I'm working for 3 hours at a time. I don't have to. It's autopilot. Like dentistry is autopilot. I don't have to think about it at all. And I mean, that's what you want your surgery to be like too. I mean, that's the best possible case for the patient, that the surgeon isn't even thinking about what they're doing. It's just so straightforward and easy that it's going to work out. And that's what I like. I like predictability and I like ease. And so I have a lot of time to think, and it's monotonous doing dental surgery because you feel like anybody can do. I feel like I can train a monkey to do what I do. And because it's so not mentally engaging. Like it's mentally engaging before and preparing for it, but then the actual process, it's like going on a road trip. You're just like, when will this end? When will this end? Why can't I watch a movie while I'm on this road trip? When will this end? But it's like just so much time to think, and I fill my brain with all this stuff. So I think about it more than anything else.
What is, and I, by the way, I hope that didn't come off as like, derogatory. It's just
not at all. I do make up a whole lot of stuff because I have wild thoughts, and I actually tone it down quite a bit when I talk about stuff on my YouTube. A lot of it is just wrong. I'm just trying to think. I'm really just trying to stimulate conversation. I want other people to think. I want other people to, I think a lot of what we do, we spend more time thinking about how much we enjoyed what we were doing with FPV than what we're actually doing flying. Like flying is great, but it also gets boring. And then you go home and then you think about everything. And then you watch your HD video because you have HD video, and then you think about it some more, and you relive that experience over and over and over. And that's really, like, even though I don't fly that often at all anymore, I relive it over and over. Particular moments where I remember I was really impressed with myself, impressed with something I did or how I did it. I watch it over and over and over, and I watch my own flight video of like 1 minute more than anybody else watches it. And it's just fun to relive that moment and that anxiety of what's going on at that moment in time.
So what is the, you say you tone it down. What's the crazy thing you're thinking about right now?
Right now, my dream is to get this 3-inch quad off the ground, because I have been trying to shrink everything down. And the reason for this shrink down is because our electronics have gotten a lot better really recently, a lot better. Some components have come out that have really been able to hold up to punishment and be at least to some degree reliable. And so iFlight recently came out with their 16x16 stack, which is like a $42 stack that it's has a 12 amp 4S 4-in-1 in this 16x16 board. So when I have this tiny little stack, I can literally shrink a 5-inch down to 3-inch. So it just looks like a miniature 5-inch, because it looks like you have a little tiny stack in the middle of your little tiny frame, and you have little tiny props, and it's just so cute and it's irresistible. However, it's is also going to give you the performance that you want, and that's what I'm after. So I want to shrink everything down. I don't see a need for a GoPro for anything, because nobody watches my flight videos. It's just me. So I will live to be comfortable with the split performance of whatever. And I really am after this 3-inch quad that's about 150 grams all up weight, has a Crossfire on board. The stack has a 200 milliwatt VTX. You have a good camera. You have HD video on board. I'm planning on running an 850 milliamp 2S battery, 2S, so that you could charge it with one of those like fake travel chargers, not like a real charger. And because the capacity of the battery is so large, you'll get like at least a 5-minute flight time of actually flying. So it hits all of the points that everybody wants. Great flight performance, great flight time, great range, durable because it weighs nothing. It's got HD video. It's got everything everybody wants. And you now have a cheap and so far very reliable stack. And it's like magic. If it actually is what it is, which I'm just waiting on parts, because China is once again on holiday, just waiting on parts to arrive, I'm going to be really ecstatic about this, because it's a really cute little tiny build. So that's what I'm currently after, and that's my crazy thought, which I hope works out. Probably won't work out. Those things don't work out. But yeah, I have a lot of thoughts about motors, about cameras, about not so much props anymore, since we have so many props now, and just various directions that I want to go in. Crazy things that people get upset because they're like, what are you talking about? You don't know what you're saying. And I genuinely don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just talking. A lot of the time I just want to talk. I just want to get my words out and see what other people have to say. And that's the fun of it.
But there's there is there's some people that process by writing. There's some people that process by just sitting down and ruminating. I think I'm a lot like you. I process verbally, right? Like
I process by teaching, actually teaching. Like when I teach a dental class or something, in the middle of teaching my lecture, I discover things myself in my own head, and I'm just like, holy crap. Now I really know what I'm talking about. in the middle of a lecture, I'm supposed to be lecturing on a topic that I'm supposed to know everything about, which I genuinely know most of it, but then it clicks when I'm actually teaching it, and students ask a question, and then I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right. And then it super clicks, and it really is locked in forever. And so that's how I process things. I talk and I teach. I talk deliberately. Deliberate speaking is how I process things.
So, can we expect a Kebab University for FPV at any point?
No, not at all. I really enjoy YouTube. I enjoy talking about things. I just enjoy all my followers. It has been such a great personality building experience. It's amazing. It really is amazing. I've come a long way. It's helped me with my professional life, talking with patients, talking with other doctors, maintaining relationships. I now see, because people are so ruthless online and they will spit out whatever they have on their mind, whether it's
Yeah.
good, bad, does not matter. I've had death threats. I've had crazy things. It forces you to try to realize what people are seeing in you and what people are seeing in what you're saying and what you're doing. And so it really helped me see myself the way others see me.
Mm-hmm.
And that has been an invaluable experience. And I'm really doing it more for that than anything else. Being a host, I'm not a natural host at all. I was never a natural host. I can teach, I can talk forever, but I was never a natural host of things. And you're doing a great job hosting, but I really want to become more of a host that can speak in a dynamic public setting. So like live interviews with important people and discussing real topics and not coming off as an asshole that's just a smart ass. Like that's
but there's a very thin line between expert and asshole.
I'm not an expert in anything. I just ask questions because I'm genuinely interested, and I feel like other people will be interested in my questions because I'm engaged in the conversation. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what it's real. It's something very real. So I personally like listening to that and being a part of that. So I think that other people would hopefully like it as well. Baby Shark is the most popular song in America right now. So I don't know.
Is a means of reflecting back to you. I think number one, you carry your videos and yourself very well. And I think you're pretty honest most of the time when you are not 100% certain about something.
Yeah.
And so it's when you're in your videos, when you're doing your thing, you don't necessarily come off as, well, this is it, it's my way or the highway. A lot of times you come off
that a lot of time. I speak like
that. And I can see that coming out of you. But a lot of times, especially in your since for the last year, there's been a lot of moments where it's like, listen, I don't know if this is right. This is just what I'm thinking, and I'm gonna give it a shot. It's like what you were just saying about this little experiment you got going on with the 150 gram with the iFlight stack. You even said, well, it may work out, it may not, it probably won't. But I think if that's an area that you're trying to personally grow in, I think you're doing a great job. So
I got a long way to go. I'm definitely not a natural host at all. And I hope to never vlog. I don't want to vlog.
You know what? It's so I think I started with my YouTube journey. I started out thinking that so originally it started out as just posting flight edits, right? And that was like I was terrible. I was awful. I was doing things that were dangerous.
Yeah, but you watch it and you think you look like a jet fighter pilot. Like, it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And then I slowly realized, okay, well, my flight edits are getting longer, but that actually made them more boring.
Yeah.
Right? Where it was like, initially it was like, dude, like I did a roll. Oh my God, I did a roll. Right? And then at some point it's like, well, yeah, I did a roll, and then I did a power loop, and then I did this, and that got boring, so I started talking to the camera. And at some point, the realization hit me, actually, in a trip I was taking recently. I hadn't vlogged in a while, and I'd been doing kind of these talking head, kind of dad FPV is what I call them. And I'd been doing those for about 4 or 5 months and switched back to doing a vlog style for when I was traveling back in January. And I got to my destination and I was exhausted because I had been traveling all day. I'd been trying to film. I'd been trying to carry a narrative the entire time. And I was like, I freaking hate this. Like,
yeah.
I can really...
So much work.
It is so much work.
And then editing is a nightmare.
Right, because you've got literally, I watch
hours of footage.
Oh, you got hours of footage. I watch guys like Cody Warner. I don't know if you've ever seen him. you watch his vlogs and he carries this story through a natural set of settings and a natural arc, and it just works, right? And
Yeah.
I can't do that. I cannot keep my brain focused for 5 to 6 hours in order to tell a story.
Yeah. I mean, people want a story. They love people want to be told stories, and that's genuinely what people watch. But if I do anything story oriented, I do it after the fact. Like I'll make up a story after, based on what I have, based on the content that I have. And so the best example of this is Casey Neistat. He is literally storyteller number one. He is probably one of the most successful storytellers on YouTube, because everything he makes is into a story. And I don't know how his brain works. He's just really good at storytelling and editing such that it just barely holds on to your interest, just barely throughout the video. It's just like, okay, I'm bored. Oh, okay, fine. Okay, I'm bored. Oh, okay, fine. Yeah. It's really hard to be a good storyteller. Really hard. Really hard. So, yeah, I know. That's why I don't want to vlog. It just seems like a massive time, like, trash can. Just like throw all your time away, and that's a vlog. I honestly don't know how on earth Steele has pulled it off. I think Willard's vlogs are some of the highest production value vlogs in the industry. He does an amazing job with the edits, and he's so fun and entertaining to watch. He's very animated. And plus now with his girlfriend, I think people are more interested in their dynamic. Although I haven't watched like any of his videos lately because I just don't watch anything. It's nice to see like a partnership like that. It's really fun and it's engaging, and there's like a girl, so it's just like what? So it's fun. It's fun to watch all that stuff, and it's fun to see progression and development and dynamics and all that stuff. So it's nice. I don't know why some people get more attention than others. I just don't understand it.
Well, you know, going back to Wild Willie, I kind of cold reached out to him, and I think I told you this already, but I reached out to him and I was like, hey, do you want to come be on this show? And he was like, yeah, sure, that'd be great.
Only if you bring your girlfriend.
Right? No, there's a part of me where I really like. I mean, they're like literally in all of FPV. They're like the only romance story that seems to be happening, that as far as I can tell.
Yeah. I mean, there's only one I see.
Yeah, I'm sure maybe
both,
there's.
So I mean, I follow them both, so I see like content from them, and it's like it's fun.
But I'm like, well, you know, when he comes on, is it creepy if I ask him about his girlfriend? Like, is that crossing some line? I don't know. It's been so funny trying to. Are you being attacked by bugs again?
I mean, nature is everywhere.
Nature is everywhere. You're the first. I think you're the first person to take the interview outside, so you've got that going for you.
I mean, I would fly from my car all the time if I could. I've gotten stung by so many things while flying. It's like I don't know. I don't even know why. I don't know why I do it. Like, it's just crazy.
So there you have it. Bob is an oral surgeon, and yet he gets most of his thinking done during the very boring surgeries that he does his procedures. And I guess that's a good thing, because if a surgery is boring, that means it's not bad. Now, in the next bit, we talk about a lot of other things. I would say that mine and Bob's conversation ranged farther and freer than just about anybody's. He's super comfortable in front of the camera, and I think that if you continue watching, you will surely enjoy it. At any rate, I will talk to you soon. Bye.